DMV alert! 3 big bombs that will change how you see the Commanders forever. First, a McCaffrey with dynasty blood becomes the undercover weapon that even the most paranoid defenses don't see coming, and has a criminal pact with our QB. Second, a 3-decade injustice gets corrected. November 2nd. But I bet you my bulletproof vest you don't know the poisoned message Harris sends to the traitors. Third, grab your inhaler. Our rookie QB's devilish stats already beat Brady, Jackson, and Burrow. But everything collapses if you ignore the detail COWHERD hid in his analysis. Subscribe before the algorithm buries this. Today, you decide if you're a closet fan or part of the revolution that's reviving the buried giant. Your like is the first step to not end up on the wrong side of history. Let's start with something many are overlooking, but I believe could be one of the silent keys to our success this season. Luke McCaffrey. Yes, Christian McCaffrey's brother. Some of you might say, Marcus, the kid had only 18 receptions last season. What are you talking about? And I say, that's exactly why you need to pay attention. Mike Jones from The Athletic just named McCaffrey as the main breakout candidate for the Commanders this season. And let me tell you something. When The Athletic focuses on a player, it's no coincidence. This guy came from Rice as a 3rd-round pick. And yes, his rookie numbers were modest. 168 yards in 17 games. But listen to what really matters. First, let's talk about pedigree. The McCaffreys aren't average players. Christian is dominating in San Francisco, and Luke has that same football IQ, that same work ethic. At Rice, Luke was versatile. He could play as a receiver, a running back, even return kicks. That versatility is precisely what Dan Quinn seeks in his offensive system. During the off-season practices, McCaffrey showed improved understanding of the playbook and more confidence. He played faster, more effectively. And here's what excites me. He improved his connection with Jayden Daniels. Now I ask you, what happens when a young receiver with football pedigree improves his chemistry with a quarterback destined to be special? But let me explain why this is so important. In his rookie year, McCaffrey appeared in all 17 games. That's no coincidence. That means the coaching staff trusted him enough to keep him active every week. And even though his reception numbers were low, his role was different. He was learning, adapting, being molded for what's coming. Context is key here. Last season, our receiver group was led by Terry McLaurin, our indisputable WR1. We had Jahan Dotson, who has since been traded to Philadelphia, and we had veterans like Curtis Samuel. McCaffrey was the youngest, the least experienced, but also the one with the most untapped potential. Now the situation has changed. We brought in Deebo Samuel, who will be a key piece. We have Noah Brown, who is solid. But McCaffrey operates from the slot, and in Dan Quinn's system, slot receivers can be lethal. Think about what Julian Edelman did with Tom Brady, or what Cooper Kupp does with Matthew Stafford. That's the vision for McCaffrey. What I like about what I'm seeing is that McCaffrey not only improved physically, but mentally. According to reports, he's processing defenses faster, finding open spaces more easily, and developing that chemistry with Daniels that's impossible to teach. And here's something many don't consider. With the addition of Deebo Samuel, defenses will have to worry about multiple threats. That means McCaffrey will have one-on-one opportunities against linebackers or safeties in coverage. And if you've seen his college work, you know he has the skills to win those matchups. Remember, in his rookie year, McCaffrey played all 17 games. That speaks of reliability, that the coaching staff trusted him even when he was a rookie adapting. But it also speaks of durability, something not all young players can demonstrate in their first year. The potential is there. The pedigree is there. The opportunity is there. And with Jayden Daniels throwing the ball, McCaffrey could be that secret weapon teams didn't see coming. Because let me tell you something. In the NFL, it's not always the big names that make a difference. Sometimes it's those no one expects. If McCaffrey can double or triple his rookie production, we're talking 40 to 50 receptions, 400 to 500 yards, and maybe 4 to 6 touchdowns. Those numbers might not sound spectacular, but for a slot receiver in his second year, that would be a huge leap. And more importantly, It would be a sign we have another reliable weapon in our Now we come to something that fills me with pride, but also annoys me. Art Monk will finally have his number 81 retired. And I say, it's about time. Josh Harris is correcting another historical wrong in this organization. And this is exactly what we needed to see. On November 2nd, during the game against the Seattle Seahawks, Art Monk will be immortalized as he deserves. 3 Super Bowls, more than 12,000 receiving yards, 65 touchdowns, Hall of Fame. And until now, he was only in the Ring of Fame. Ring of Fame. As if that were enough for someone who was part of the 3 most significant conquests of this franchise. Let me put this in historical perspective. When Art Monk was selected in the first round of the 1980 draft from Syracuse, no one expected him to become one of the most dominant receivers of the 80s and early 90s. But Joe Theismann knew. Mark Rypien knew. And everyone who played with him knew they had something special. In 1984, Monk had 1,372 receiving yards, led the NFL in receptions with 106, and had 12.9 yards per touch. He was a first-team All-Pro. But here's what makes that season even more impressive. He did it in an era when the passing game wasn't as prominent as it is now. Receivers had to earn every yard. Every reception was a physical battle. And he continued to be productive until 1991, when he won his 3rd ring. Think about that. 11 years of elite production. It's not 1 or 2 good years. It's more than a decade being one of the best in his position. In 1985, he led the league in yards per game with 81.7. In 1986, he was a Pro Bowler again. It was pure consistency. But here's what bothers me. He had to wait 13 years after retiring to get into the Hall of Fame. 13 years. How is it possible that a player who was a crucial piece in 3 Super Bowls, who broke records, who defined the receiver position for over a decade, had to wait so long for the recognition he deserved? And I'm not talking about just any Super Bowl. I'm talking about victories over Miami in 1983, over Denver in 1988, and over Buffalo in 1992. Monk was a fundamental piece on each of those teams. He wasn't just another player. He was the kind of player who made others better. The statistic that impacts me most is this. Monk had 5 seasons with over 1,000 receiving yards. In the 80s, that was extraordinary. Offensive systems weren't designed for receivers to rack up inflated numbers. You had to earn every yard with sweat, blood, and sacrifice. Now I ask you, how is it possible that a player with those credentials didn't have his number retired earlier? We have Sammy Baugh, Sonny Jurgensen, Darrell Green, Bobby Mitchell, and Sean Taylor. Only 5 numbers retired in the entire history of this franchise. And Monk should have been there decades ago. But let me give you more context on why this is so significant. Washington has historically been very strict with retiring numbers. Other franchises have retired numbers of players with lesser credentials. But we've maintained a very high standard. And that makes it even more special when a number is finally retired. Sammy Baugh revolutionized the quarterback position. Sonny Jurgensen was a genius of the aerial game. Darrell Green was the fastest corner in NFL history. Bobby Mitchell broke racial barriers and was an incredible player. Sean Taylor was a force of nature taken from us too soon, and Art Monk belongs on that list. Not only does he belong, but he should have been there for years. His contribution to this franchise is immeasurable. When young fans ask me about the greatness of this organization, I talk about the Hogs, the defense, the quarterbacks. But I also tell them about Art Monk, the receiver who defined excellence in his position. But here's what I like about Josh Harris. He's restoring dignity to this organization. He's honoring our history. He's correcting past mistakes. And that tells me we finally have leadership that understands what it means to be part of this franchise. The timing is also perfect. November 2nd against Seattle. A home game in prime time with the entire fan base present. They're going to bring his former teammates. They're going to tell the whole story of what Art Monk meant to this organization. And finally, that number 81 will be hung in the rafters. Art Monk was not only one of the best receivers in Washington's history, he was one of the best receivers in NFL history. And on November 2nd, he's finally going to receive the recognition he always deserved. That's what an owner who respects history and understands legacy does. This ceremony isn't just about Art Monk. It's about restoring pride, recognizing greatness, telling fans this organization finally understands its own history. And that, to me, is as important as any player we could sign or any game we... And now we get to the news that has the entire football world talking. COLIN just said Jayden Daniels is a mix of two MVP candidates and compared him to Tom Brady. And when you check the numbers, he's not exaggerating. COWHERD said, "If you combine Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow, that's what I thought Jayden Daniels was." Sounds crazy, right? But wait to hear this, because I'm going to break down each comparison, and you'll understand why this claim isn't just hype. It's an evaluation based on facts. Let's start with Lamar Jackson. Jackson is a quarterback who has redefined the position. With his ability to run, he's a former MVP, a player who has taken Baltimore to multiple playoffs, and someone defenses have to plan specifically to stop. Daniels ran for 891 yards last season with 6 rushing touchdowns. Lamar Jackson had 915 yards, but only 4 rushing touchdowns. Statistically, you could argue Daniels was better. But here's what makes this comparison even more impressive. Daniels did this in his rookie year. Jackson has been in the league since 2018. He's had years to perfect his running game, to understand how and when to use his legs. Daniels came in and was immediately just as effective, if not more. And I'm not just talking about raw yards. I'm talking about efficiency. Daniels averaged 5.8 yards per carry. Jackson had 5.0. Daniels had more rushing touchdowns with fewer carries. That's elite efficiency, and he did it facing defenses that hadn't seen enough film of him to fully plan. Now, the comparison with Joe Burrow. Burrow is considered one of the most precise quarterbacks in the league, especially on third downs and in pressure situations. He's the kind of quarterback who can fit a ball into impossible windows, who can read defenses like a 10-year veteran. On third downs, Daniels had a passer rating of 102.5 with 888 yards, 10 touchdowns, and only 2 interceptions. Burrow had a rating of 110.6 with 1,126 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Burrow's numbers are slightly better, but here's the crucial context. Burrow has Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Daniels had Terry McLaurin as his only truly elite threat. Think about that for a moment. Daniels, in his rookie year, with a receiver group that included Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, and Luke McCaffrey, was within range of one of the most precise quarterbacks in the league. Without the advantage of multiple top-tier receivers. Without years of experience reading defenses. But COWHERD didn't stop there. He said Daniels' fourth quarter numbers were Tom Brady at his best. And I tell you, the numbers back it up entirely. In the fourth quarter, Daniels completed 71.1% of his passes, had 11 touchdowns against 3 interceptions, and a passer rating of 113.3. Video game numbers. Let's compare it to Brady's best. Fourth quarter season, which was 2011. Brady completed 66.4% of his passes, had 11 touchdowns against 4 interceptions, and a passer rating of 107.1. Daniels beat him in every category, and we're talking about Tom Brady in 2011 when he had Wes Welker, Rob Gronkowski, and one of the best offensive systems in history. But let me dive deeper into what these fourth quarter numbers really mean. The fourth quarter is where games are won. It's where the pressure is maximum, where mistakes cost the most, where great quarterbacks separate from the average. And Daniels, in his rookie year, showed he has that clutch gene that can't be taught. 5 fourth quarter comebacks. 5 times when his team was losing or tied, and he found a way to lead us to victory. Against Chicago, when he scored the winning touchdown with under 2 minutes left. Against Philadelphia, when he orchestrated an epic comeback. Against Atlanta, when he showed he could compete against playoff-caliber defenses. Now, let's look at the numbers when games were really on the line. When games were within 7 points in the fourth quarter, Daniels completed 63% of his passes, had 5 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and a passer rating of 101.9. He also led 5 fourth-quarter comebacks. In the same circumstances, Brady in 2011 completed 66.3% of his passes, had 6 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, and a passer rating of 96.2. Essentially, too close to call a clear winner, but the fact that a rookie is in the same conversation as Brady at his peak is extraordinary. And here's something Cowherd mentioned that I find crucial. He said he thought Andrew Luck was the rookie quarterback he had ever seen, but that Daniels surpassed. Andrew Luck was considered a generational prospect, a player who was going to redefine the position. And Daniels, according to one of the country's most respected analysts, surpassed him. But I think there's something deeper in these comparisons. It's not just that Daniels has good numbers. It's that he has the right numbers in the right moments. It's that he combines skills you don't usually see together. Jackson's mobility, Burrow's precision, Brady's clutch mentality. Now I ask you, do you realize what we have here? A rookie quarterback who statistically compares to the best players in the league in their areas of strength. And I'm not talking about projections. I'm talking about real numbers, proven statistics, productions that have already... He took us 1 win away from reaching the Super Bowl, with a roster many predicted wouldn't make the playoffs, with a defense that was inconsistent, with a group of receivers that, while talented, didn't have the depth of other elite teams. And yet, we almost reached the Super Bowl. And Cowherd is right when he says Daniels surpassed Andrew Luck as the best rookie quarterback he has seen. Luck had impressive numbers in his first year, but he didn't have the playoff success Daniels had. He didn't have the dramatic comebacks. He didn't have that ability to elevate his game when it was needed. But there's something else that excites me about these comparisons. It's that Daniels is just beginning. Jackson has been in the league for years. Burrow is in his 4th year. Brady played for over 2 decades. And Daniels in his first year is already in their conversation. That tells me the ceiling for this player is practically limitless. If these are his rookie numbers, if this is his baseline, then what can we expect in his 2nd year? In his 3rd year? When he has more experience, more chemistry with his receivers, more understanding of the system? I think we're witnessing the birth of something special. It's not just that Daniels has talent. It's that he has that X factor that separates good quarterbacks from legendary ones. And if these rookie numbers are an indication of what's to come, then Patrick Mahomes should be worried. Because there's a new sheriff in town, and he's wearing burgundy. So, there you have it. Luke McCaffrey could not only be our secret weapon, but he has the pedigree, opportunity, and chemistry with Daniels to become a key piece of our offense. Art Monk finally receives the honor he always deserved, and Josh Harris once again shows he's committed to restoring this organization's dignity and pride. And Jayden Daniels isn't just being compared to the best of all time. The numbers prove these comparisons are entirely justified. 3 pieces of news that confirm what we all knew. This organization is in the best hands it's had in decades. We have an owner who respects history, a quarterback who's redefining what's possible, and young talents ready to take the next step. Do you think McCaffrey can take the leap and become that secret weapon we need in the slot? Do you feel Josh Harris is truly changing this franchise's culture permanently? And what do you think about Daniels' comparisons with Jackson, Burrow, and Brady? Are they fair, or is it still too early to make those comparisons? Leave me your answers in the comments because I want to know what you think. This community is a family, and your opinion matters. I want to know if you see what I see, if you feel the same excitement, if you believe we're finally on the right path. If you liked this content, if you feel you're getting information you won't find anywhere else, if you think this analysis gives you a unique perspective on what's happening with our team, then it's time to officially join this family. Give a like to this video, share it with other Commanders fans, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. Because every day, I'm bringing you the most important news, the deepest analyses, and the perspective only a true fan of the DMV can give you. We're more than a channel. We're a family that lives and breathes burgundy and gold. And if you feel that passion, if you feel you belong here, if you want to be part of this community growing every day, then join us. Because this is just the beginning of something big. And remember, hail to the Commanders!